Hi guys, today our group will introduce our research project which based on SDGs 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. We want to develop the cultural tourism of Jingdezhen, which is a historic city in China, in order to improve the city and the communities develop sustainably. So this is our team members. We have 4 students all from the School of Arts. Personal information and missions are as followed. We will present our research project in this order. So let's start.
First, let's talk about the abstract. The aim of the study is to promote sustainable development of cities and communities through the repelling of the tourism in Jingdezhen. According to the 11th goal of the Sustainable Development Goal proposed by the United Nations, namely make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The study adopts a solid theoretical research foundation through quantitative research with inductive and practical methods. We conducted an online questionnaire and received 159 respondents from 22 provinces. Based on the data analysis, we summarized 5 related findings. Finally, this research provides a new framework which can include more organizations or stakeholders for Jingdezhen's tourism industry in the future.
This part is introduction. The first, background. As for the background, we introduced it from 3 aspects: natural environment, history, and tourism. Natural environment. Jingdezhen is located in the northeast of Jiangxi Province, China, where the subtropical monsoon climate makes the full season distinct and the water and the soil rich, and its forest coverage is about 70%. History. Jingdezhen is the world-famous millennial porcelain capital with typical handicraft city. From the Song dynasty, Jingdezhen was the imperial kiln for the emperors. Jingdezhen experienced ups and downs several times. It used to be the world's porcelain making center, but also rapidly declined after the Industrial Revolution. But in the past 20 years, traditional culture and the handicraft industry have been revived. Tourism. The tourism of Jingdezhen is divided into 3 parts: scenic spots, cultural heritage, and new cultural and creative parks. The second problem statement. At present, there are some problems in Jingdezhen tourism. For example, the external traffic accessibility is not high. Public service facilities are not perfect. Tourist attractions are relatively scattered. In addition, several new creative cultural parks have appealed homogenization phenomenon in some projects. According to these situations, I think Jingdezhen can combine the theory of cities to build some creative, comfortable, and self-expression communities with local style and aesthetic characteristics. These communities should have relatively complete and highly oriented cultural facilities, and each community must have its own style to avoid homogenization between communities.
Now, let's talk about the literature review. The content here is divided into 2 parts. The first part, the definition of sustainable development, was first introduced by the United Nations Commissions on Environment and Development in 1987 in the book Our Common Future. The sustainable development of ceramic culture and tourism in Jingdezhen echoed 11 of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals to build cities and human settlements that are inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The second part, the development process of experience economy. Since 1982, ceramic culture has become an important foundation for the development of the Jingdezhen tourism industry, and this part can be divided into 4 aspects to describe. And first, Resource of tourism. Entering the 21st century, China's accession to the WTO and further deepening of reform and opening up, and its strategy remained the focus of tourism research in Jingdezhen. With the development of ceramic history and cultural tourism, other tourism resources in Jingdezhen are also driven to develop. Second, economic of tourism. Scholars' research is dedicated to changing the single structure of ceramic culture tourism and promoting experiential tourism based on ceramic culture and the development of multiplied cultures together. The diversified cultural tourism development route also means the diversified development of the tourism economic in Jingdezhen City, and the most significant impact is to improve the local economic income. Thirdly, the environment of tourism. The research on the ecological environment of Jingdezhen City has been accompanied by the economization of cultural resource in Jingdezhen City and the dependent. Fourth, survives of tourism. The scholars' research declaration focus on people as well as their residents. Therefore, the tourism industry in Jingdezhen also achieved sustainable development as an economic charm, tourism city, and a Brazilian capital through the interaction of resource, environment, economy, and society.
For the methodology, we used a quantitative research with online survey. The survey has 15 questions, and thanks to all respondents' help, it contributed to our findings. After analyzing data, we conclude 5 findings. The first one, more than half of respondents don't know Jingdezhen, which means some issues in city propagandized. The second is compared to other factors, only around 60% respondents replied they are interested in handcrafts. So for today's tourists, Persian culture cannot attract them. The third is some parents are looking for a new travel mode. They hope their children can learn something during traveling. The fourth is almost 85% of respondents want to experience the life of Asian people, and they are interested in many aspects. The last is approaches that people can experience Asian culture are too limited. Only 37% of people said they know Asian lifestyle from events. So today's travelers desire to have a deep understanding of local culture and gain knowledge from traveling. Instead of appreciating handcrafts, people are more willing to experience the cultural environment and historic atmosphere behind objects. To build an Asian tourism park in Jingdezhen will be an approach for the future development tourism by combining the history, culture, and humanity of this city. So for the discussion part, we will explain how the tourism helps cities and communities develop sustainably. For the traditional tourism mode, just several organizations can benefit from it. But for the new tourism mode in Jingdezhen, it contains more stakeholders, citizens, and communities to join. They can share their house with tourists. They can cook local traditional Chinese food. They can perform the unique Jingdezhen drama for watching, and they can also rent traditional clothing for visitors. So this research puts forward a proposition to create the Asian Experience theme park, including accommodation, catering, drama, clothing, and so on. Without harming the Jingdezhen handcrafts, it will more effectively use local resources and potential groups, such as citizens and the communities of Jingdezhen, to participate in. The Asian theme park will not destroy the structure of modern life and provide a pollution-free and recycling tourism mode. It is a kind of sustainable city and communities development. On the other hand, the project is more educational because people can learn Chinese history and the knowledge. Children can learn a lot of things from it. This is a reference, and we found a lot of articles and literatures here. So that's all. Thank you for watching.